The AAA gaming world seems to be trending toward open world game design as being almost sort of a given. If not open world, devs seem to want to make levels bigger. Sometimes this design gets stale, other times you get amazing generation-defining experiences. It all depends on the developmental philosophy. When looking at the indie space, we see much more diverse design. Sometimes we get Metroidvania non-linearity, sometimes we get total linear games, other times we get never-ending run-based style games. When indie devs try their hand at an open world, we often see new creative styles rather than rehashing more of the same from their AAA counterparts. Disclaimer: this isn't a definitive list. This is a list of open world games that I've played and personally found to be notable and want to share with you. This is also a list that's only going to have fully released games, so I know I'm going to be leaving out some really interesting early access games on the horizon. Before diving in, if you like our content, please consider liking and subscribing and joining our Patreon. Also be sure to tune into Gamer Ghoul Friends Thursday night Twitch streams. Coming in at number 7, we have American Fugitive. If you are a fan of the original 2 GTA games, or GTA Chinatown Wars, this game might interest you. American Fugitive sees you trying to clear your character's name after being wrongfully convicted of killing your father. And what's the best way to do this? Well, by completing illegal car thefts and scrapping them, of course. In this more classic GTA formula, you'll be progressing through the world in a isometric / top-down view, completing missions which are mostly centered around stealing cars and scrapping them. You can freely explore the open world and break into houses even to loot them. The world isn't set in a sprawling city like GTA is. That doesn't mean it isn't a big map, it's fairly large in fact. The setting is just not a condensed city with tons of buildings and tons of things to do. What there is available to do is interesting. I like being able to loot from houses. I like finding new outfits to change into. You can also find random challenges around the map, also very much in line with the classic GTA formula. It's a decent game, and it is interesting most of all for trying to emulate the GTA of yesteryear instead of attempting to remake something like GTA 4 or GTA 5. At number 6, we have Little Kitty Big City. As the name implies, this game has you play as a cat in a city. Whoa. Now, the city is an open world, and you can complete objectives in basically any order that you like. There aren't really any hard-line objectives. You basically explore the city and do platforming or various cat antics to collect shinies in order to purchase climbing upgrades and ultimately get back to home. There are optional collectibles as well in the form of hats for the kitty to wear. So adorable! In essence, the game feels like a combination of Untitled Goose Game and a 3D platformer collectathon. Think something like Mario Odyssey or Banjo-Kazooie. There aren't levels to speak of, not too much direction. You basically guide yourself at your own pace. You kind of have to think like a cat. See a ledge? Well, maybe that'll be fun to jump on. Maybe something is bound to be up on top of that ledge. See a puddle of water but shinies behind it? Well, let's find a cat-tastical way to get around the water. This aspect of self-direction makes the relatively small open world feel ripe with possibilities. And it is. This is another example of a game that, while having a smaller open world, the devs use the space intelligently and don't really have a lot of filler in between. There is a ton of flavor injected as well in the form of random nap spots and cat poses. Just a neat, wholesome game overall. Coming in at number 5, we have Tenderfoot Tactics. This is an interesting take on the tactical RPG genre. You take control of a party of goblins wandering various islands to fight back a fog and reclaim their home. The world is pretty vast and the storytelling is pretty indirect. In fact, traversing this world will have you taking note of landmarks from map posts you record, as well as surveying islands with a bird companion that is always flying high above you. There's no quest markers here to direct you. There's not even really a compass. The game almost seems to encourage you to get lost and find your own point of interest. The store page, in fact, does say that if you speedrun the game, you could complete it in a couple of hours. However, most of the content here is side content, and most players progress at a much slower pace. You'll come across various points of interest, caves, camps, dungeons, the like. I wanted to highlight this game because of how unique its exploration is for tactical RPGs. You explore the map in real time and see enemies on the overworld before being taken into a tactical map for battles. Normally, I would prefer a seamless transition between battles and exploration. Think something like Baldur's Gate, for example. But in this case, this style of game where I'm kind of getting into a zen mode with exploration, I actually did appreciate this more clear division between traversal and battles. The art style is incredible too. Coming in at number 4, we have Hyper Light Drifter. This takes more of a Link to the Past approach to open world exploration, but with even more freedom. In your travels in Hyper Light Drifter, you'll find dungeons and puzzles, you'll find upgrades that help you progress, and also lore points. The game takes a hands-off approach. There's no dialogue in this game. Instead, lore is presented through environmental storytelling. The objective and general direction is not directly pointed out by the game. Likely you'll be exploring the world, looking for context clues and upgrades in order to conquer the next challenge. There are branching paths as well, which can offer secret buffs or even more lore bits. With an amazing pixelated art style and chill soundtrack, why wouldn't you want to take your time exploring this world? I haven't played the game since the OG release back in the PS4, but with Hyper Light Breaker on the horizon, I'm feeling like I really need to jump back into this universe. Coming in at number 3, we have Pseudoregalia. When it comes to the Metroidvania genre, the overall level design is typically described as non-linear, but not open world, meaning you loop back around in a maze-like large continuous level, and shortcuts, secrets, and progressions unlock as you gain new abilities. Pseudoregalia takes this genre of gaming and places it into an actual open-ended, self-directed experience. Taking place entirely in a castle, you have freedom to collect upgrades in your own order and take on platforming challenges and typical Metroidvania environmental traversal puzzles as you'd like. The game doesn't direct you. This can make remembering where you last saw a roadblock hard, and the castle is big with a lot of different paths, which can make the backtracking take more time than even something like Metroid Prime. I played the game back before there was a map update, which was a struggle, but back in March, the dev did finally add a map which only improves the quality of the game. Pair this with effective open world design and the aesthetic with that low price point, and Pseudoregalia is just really a must buy. Alright, coming in at number 2, we have Terraria. This is a granddaddy of open world survival crafting games. I remember way back when this first released, my friends and I would say that Terraria was, basically 2D Minecraft, right? But really, it's much more unique despite the various similarities between the two games. For one, the game leans more into the RPG realms, with NPCs given some goals and tasks to complete, as well as your character having somewhat of a class system and there being a pretty robust magic system to pair with it. There's also various abilities that can also be leveled up along the way. The world has many biomes, some with unique NPC types. You'll also come across many different enemies in the world, including bosses that offer various levels of challenge. Sometimes these bosses are random encounters, but you'll also come across these enemies through exploration. Mining is tile-based, and you can pretty freely break up the world as you'd like, which I always appreciated about Terraria. Something about seeing essentially a cross-section of your mineshaft in that 16-bit art style really appealed to me. You can freely build out your base and even recruit some NPCs to stay there, pending that you've rescued them from a boss or have an item that triggers them. Some bosses are optional, while others actually progress the game towards a final boss, which gives some direction to exploration, something that can be missed in other survival crafting games where a lot of the time you just kind of have to create your own direction. World generation is just gorgeous as well. Some biomes feel hellish while others feel much more calming. It's been out since 2011 and it still gets active support to this day, so if you haven't played it yet or haven't played it in a while, definitely get around to it soon. And coming in at number 1 is No Man's Sky. Now I know what some of y'all are thinking. Isn't this game bad and totally empty? Well, actually no. Some people still think that No Man's Sky is still in that same state it was at launch, but so much has changed. Hello Games have gone above and beyond what any developer would for a game that was deemed a failure. There's been free content updates galore. This game never saw a paid DLC. So much has been added, from corrupted planets to settlements. There's plenty to do and it all blends into each other very well. Of course, think of this game less of an open world and more of an open universe, honestly. You have 256 galaxies in the game. You can explore all of this freely. All planets are fully traversable, meaning you can walk around a world if you took the time. You can travel from planet's surface to space in a seamless manner, so you basically just hop in your ship and take off. Exploration isn't the only thing going on here. This game combines the survival crafting genre and space trading genre with a little bit of RPG elements along the way. If you get tired of building up your base, why not go build an intergalactic economic empire with a fleet of freighters and frigates? Improve relations with the dominant alien race in a system in order to improve these economic endeavors. Or maybe you want to explore space and find some derelict freighters to loot. There is a story mode to play through, which effectively acts as a tutorial, and it's very well implemented into the game. Planet generation can start to feel samey after a while, albeit less so with some of the more recent updates. Plus, there are seasonal expeditions with nearly every new update, which gives unique rewards and gameplay variations. The community is friendly as well, with a large online community build called the Galactic Hub being an amazing example of a multiplayer community project really taking off. I have hundreds upon hundreds of hours logged into this game. It is a personal favorite of mine. I highly recommend it. Did I leave out one of your favorite open world indie games? Let us know your top favorites in the comments below. Also, let us know what other top 10 topics you'd be interested in having us cover. Voice of the voiceless. See you folks next time.